What's up, everybody? I just want to say thank you so much for listening to my podcast. But have you ever thought about making your own podcast? Well, Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily and then redistribute it everywhere and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. They even let you upload video podcasts. And when you want to take the conversation with your fans to the next level, Q&A and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free with no catch at all. Years ago, I had an emptiness in my soul. I was looking for something else. I wanted something else other than the band to call my own and get my thoughts out there. I felt like I wanted to share this knowledge of the music industry that I've gained over the years, but I wasn't sure how to do it. And I thought, what if I did a podcast? That would be a really cool way to do that. So I signed up, I recorded my first episode, and I hit the upload button. And now years later, when I go out to the merch table at my shows, people are asking me about the podcast. They're telling me their favorite parts of certain episodes. It's just a great feeling. So if you're a creative like me and you're looking for a fun way to get your thoughts out there and create a show of your own, I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started. What's up, everybody? It's Tales from the Green Room, episode number 160. It's your boy, Howi Spangler here. And I have the homie, Kellin Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens here today. What's up, dude?
I am the only Kellin Quinn from Sleeping with Sirens.
You're the only one.
I'm the only one, dude, that I know of.
Dude, no way. No way. You're like the best Kellin Quinn in the band, right?
I always thought it would be funny to have a doppelganger though, like Andrew WK style, dude. So if I don't feel like going out, I can just send maybe a clone or something would be sick.
Oh, dude, that would be so great. You can imagine all the time you could have with your family at that point.
I know, right? You just pick and choose stuff that sounds cool, and then for the rest of the time, you just give your clone a little pat on the back and say, "This one's you, dude."
Seriously, man. Well, I feel like with the advancement in AI recently, that might be a real thing sooner than we think.
Yeah, but then what if everybody likes your clone better than you?
Damn, that's true though. And then you end up in some weird situation where you gotta convince everybody that you're the real you,
right?
You know. And everyone's like, nah, this ain't
nah,
right.
Dude. We prefer the clone.
Yeah, we prefer the clone. Yeah, and then you get home and it's like your clone is sleeping with your wife and taking your kids to the baseball games and
I'm gonna have a nightmare about this.
Oh my God, tonight. It's a bummer. There's definitely a movie or something about that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So dude, first off, I want to say thanks for coming on the show. And we've done a couple projects together in the last couple of years, gotten to work with you and always crushing it. Whatever I throw at you, you handle it. And
thanks, dude.
Yeah, man, it's fucking professional. But yeah, so we did our mutual friend James Donano. He kind of made the connection, and we did the first Rockstar on Mars record thing together, a little concept album, little kids music, kids book. That turned out great. Yeah, I love what you did with that. And you brought some really cool ideas, and I hope people go back and check that out. It's called The First Rockstar on Mars. It's written by our friend James Donano, but he wanted to make a kind of form a band and do a little EP around the book to sort of complement it. And so we all got together, and it was you and me and James and Ryan Key, actually from Yellow Card, and put together this cool little fun record even for adults. I think parents could get down to it, you know?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love being able to kind of take myself out of what I do with my own band and just kind of inject myself into something else, because I think creatively you're a bit more open-minded, especially when you have a concept from someone else and their thoughts and their ideas. I always feel like I work better with any artist when they give you their form of vision, and then you can just kind of capitalize and put your thoughts into it as well. always work better that way rather than just like, hey, here's a song and you come up with something, because at the end of the day, we're always going to kind of go back to like what we feel comfortable doing. And I really enjoy like being taken out of my comfort zone and having just like writing a song about being in a band and playing on Mars was just like a really fun exercise to just get out of my own head and think about something else.
Yeah, man. I feel the same way. And I totally agree with like, you tend to want to go with what you know and sort of pull out your old tricks, you know, the same thing. And it's nice when someone gives you a concept to roll with, to kind of get the ball going, get the ball rolling. And, and that's exactly what that record was. And yeah, the concept was so cool. It was like, you know, kid going to Mars to be the first rock star. It's just such a neat thing. And, your lyrics and your voice and everything, just all the melodies, I think it just nailed it, you know, what he was going for.
Thanks, dude. Yeah, like not really that many times you get to like write songs about aliens and stuff, you know. Yeah. Unless you're Blink-182, which did you get to see like any of the performance stuff they did at Coachella? They had like live streams and stuff. Did you watch any of that?
I missed the live streams, but I caught like I've been catching like clips on TikTok and Instagram. Yeah. Like Tom DeLonge's been posting a lot of stuff. Looked awesome.
Yeah, I think they did pretty awesome. Like I think that out of all the performances I kind of checked out at Coachella, that was like one of my favorite ones. I don't know. Coachella gets kind of weird, huh? Because it's like, it's a lot of different styles of music, but I feel like it leans heavy to like pop, hip hop, and like EDM music.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. Like I definitely like gravitate towards rock. I guess it's just because it's what I do and it's my genre, but I just feel like there's just like an energy that's unmatched there, you know? Mm-hmm. And yeah, I enjoyed their performance, you know? It's cool to see Tom back in the band and performing with Blink, and it looks like they had a good time. It's really funny to hear them still like tell their like dick and fart jokes though, as older men. You could tell like
they're like
you could
50.
tell Mark was like you could tell Mark like every time Tom was like talking about like anal or something like that, Mark's like, dude, tone it down, bro. Like we're not as young as we used to be.
Dude, it's so funny. I know. They open the sets with shit, piss, cocksucker, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yep. I caught a few clips where they're doing their typical ranting, which is something I think is missing in rock these days. So I'm glad that they're bringing that back.
Yeah.
You know,
but you could tell like there's like this dichotomy of like, all right, we have to be careful what we say.
We have kids now.
Yeah, because people get real offended. But I just think that it's also kind of like this interesting, like I like to coin it to like when you see like young kids smoking cigs, there's like, I don't want to like put like smoking cigs as like a cool stamp, but it is cooler to smoke cigs when you're like younger. Like there's something about like being like a young person smoking, whereas like when you see like an older person still smoking, it's like not cool anymore.
Yeah, it's like sad.
It's like sad, exactly. I feel like that's kind of like a similar vibe with like older people like talking about like, I don't know, dick and fart jokes.
Yeah. I think even for them, there's a line, you know. But to me, it's like it's just silliness and you know, of course, I think those guys are always just going to be that way. But yeah, you know what else I think too? This crossed my mind was like, I think the same way South Park can kind of get away with anything because it's a cartoon and they've been around for like 20 some years, 25 years. I think Blink's the same. It's like Blink and South Park kind of came up at the same time, you know, like 97, 98, you know, started getting popular. And it's, I don't know, it just feels like it's, they've been grandfathered in to where they can say just about anything they want.
Yeah, you have to just kind of draw a line and just go, well, we're either going to go all the way over the line or we're going to like, you can't play it safe. You got to be like one or the other.
Yeah.
You have to be unapologetic.
Yeah. I think it wouldn't be the same, you know, like if you go back and listen to, I remember I was on the road last year and I was driving us and like, I was listening to the Mark, Tom and Travis show or Tom, Mark and Travis show. Yeah. And like that live record. And at the end, the last track is just a super cut of all the dumb, crazy shit they were saying through all the shows.
That's really funny. That CD. I had that CD on compact disc.
Same.
And I enjoyed it. I found out later though that a lot of it's like studio recorded and isn't actually live, and like all of like the crowd noises are like obnoxiously loud. Like they like triple or quadrupled like the crowd noises to make it sound like they're playing like the most massive show ever, which I thought was like hilarious. And yeah, I don't know, look it up. I definitely like got in some like Reddit forums about it, and just thought that was interesting. So
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I hear what you're saying. Like, definitely the crowd seemed like really super loud. I just thought they had the crowd mics turned up and they mixed it that way. But damn, if there's a whole conspiracy here, like we didn't go to the moon, bro. Like, I want to know about it, you know? That's great, dude. And before I forget, thanks for lending your talents to the Callisto song, "Fake It." Really appreciate it. It turned out awesome. I want to talk about that for a sec. So that song it came from a riff that like I wrote in like, I don't know, 2019, 2020, bored, sitting around, just had it in my head. You know how it is. Like you have ideas banging around your head and you got to get them down and get them out of your head so you can make room for the good ones or the new ones, you know? And that's how it felt. It's like, I'm just going to get this out of the way. And my band Ballyhoo's never going to play this. This is just too heavy and weird for us, you know? And just sat on the shelf in the cloud there. And when James and Brandon and I got together, we were figuring it out. I was like, well, I got this one thing and, see how it goes. And we fleshed it out. And when it came time to like write lyrics or, come up with a melody, I was like, I have no clue what to do with this. Like, and I think James immediately was like, yo, I'll hit up Kellin and see if he's like down. And dude, sure enough, bro, he sent me like all these tracks of like a finished song. I was like, holy shit, dude, like you're a machine. And it sounds great. You did such an awesome job with it and took it places where I just didn't know where to go. So thank you very much for that. It sounds awesome.
Oh, of course, dude. Yeah, like I always tend to like overdo it, but I feel like it's better to overdo it than to underdeliver.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, dude, if I have like an idea, like, let's go. But that's funny that you said that you have things that you like leave in the cloud. Like my problem is like sometimes I will get to a point where I just put like random lyrics in my phone, but then I'll end up like using them and then I just like run out of stuff. So I need to like. That's interesting that you said that like you have things that you just kind of like leave behind and then come back to. Like I need to do that. I need to spend like a month just like filling my phone with like random ideas and lyrics so that way like when I run out of things, because people will send me music and sometimes I'll look back through my phone, I'll be like, oh, I already used all this. I have to actually use my brain today.
Yeah, and it's the whole voice memo thing is great because like I mean, I've been obviously using that shit for years, but like, I'll sometimes go back through and I'll scroll all the way back and I'm like, wow, there's some cool stuff in here that I never used or forgot about. I'm so glad that I recorded it, because there are certain nights. There's some nights where like, because being an artist is like it's a gift and a curse, right? So like I'm like. I'm writing songs like when I'm about to fall asleep and I don't feel like getting up to grab my phone or go grab my guitar. I'm like, I'll remember it in the morning. It's a really good melody. And then the next forget. And it's like, fuck.
100%, dude. Yeah, I've done that before where I had like a really cool melody and I'll like, well, at the time when you're like half asleep, you'll be like, oh, that was a really cool melody. And like, there has been times where I've like gone to the bathroom and just like quietly sang it. And then the next morning, like, it's hit or miss. You never know if it's going to be cool or not. Like sometimes you'll wake up and be like, what the fuck was I thinking? Or you'll be like, oh, that was dope. But
yeah, exactly.
You'll never know unless you put it in there.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, it's like I'll be walking around the airport like a weirdo, like singing into my phone.
Totally. I do that too. Airport bathrooms or airplane like bathrooms. I've recorded a lot of voice memos and like the problem on the airplane bathrooms is that like it's so fucking loud in there that's like, and you're trying to sing quiet. So people like maybe waiting outside are like, what the hell is this person doing in there? But yeah, sometimes it'll be like real loud.
So many good songs have been written in airplane bathrooms, dude. Dude,
that's a whole podcast in itself.
It has to be. Oh man. Well, yo, let's talk about sleeping with Sirens, man. I want to know.
Cool.
I don't know a whole lot about the band, dude. Like, I remember I've always heard about you guys, and we did 2 Warp tours, and I know you were on the 2016 one. I can't remember if you were on the 2012 one or not, but we did both of those. And I remember in 2016, as memory I go back to sometimes. I'm sitting in the, everybody's got their tent in front of the bus and chilling, and we were there midday sometime. I believe it was Milwaukee. We were like, I think we already played our set and we were all showered up and chilling, having a beer. And here comes Kellin Quinn walking by, just like, and you had a megaphone. And I believe you you stopped and looked at us and we're like, hey man, what's up? And you started beatboxing the Super Mario Brothers theme.
Yeah.
Yes. And I thought that was really fucking rad. And I had never met you before. And
Oh my God.
yeah, I was like, this dude's just cool as shit, just strolling around. Yeah, you were like, I think your manager or somebody was like behind you, just kind of hanging out, like just you. And,
Yeah, that's funny. We did a lot of Warp tours. Like Kevin liked to like bring us back a lot, and they all kind of blur together. That was definitely like a period of time where I was heavy boozing. Like I remember we had like a Fireball, for whatever reason, thought it was awesome to send us like one of their Fireball machines and like 2 cases of Fireball. Jesus. And we ended up going through both the cases in like a week, because we were like inviting everyone on our bus and giving them like these ice cold like Fireball shots to the point where our guitar player like hit up Fireball because he was like their point of contact. And he's like, hey, is there any way we can get another case? And they're like, no, dude. That's it. But like, yeah, there's a lot of things that I'm glad that's like a good memory you have, because like there's a lot of like obnoxious things that I remember doing. Like I remember I had we bought like Razor scooters at Walmart, and for like a week I was like just ripping around on this scooter, and in the middle of the night just like crashing into things and yelling sports and just like being completely obnoxious. So Warp Tour was like definitely that,
Oh man, yeah, there was tons of debauchery for sure, especially at night. Yeah, so is that what it was? Was it like booze driven, just debauchery maniacs?
What, with the megaphone? No, yeah. I think probably. Well, the megaphone thing was, we used it for like one song, so I probably had just gotten it that day, and I was just running around and like being obnoxious. Yeah, being obnoxious with the megaphone for sure. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that I would just stop and awkwardly beatbox something to a bunch of people that I didn't know. That definitely sounds like old Kellin.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I mean, and I offered you, I had a bottle of Jameson at my feet, and I offered you a shot, and you turned it down. I thought I respect that.
I turned it down probably because you didn't have a chaser at the time. Like when I used to do shots of Jameson, I would like do a Coke back with it, and we definitely put on a lot of LBs back in the day. But yeah, I've never been awesome at doing just shots of Jameson by itself. I can do tequila as long as I have a lime.
Sure.
But Jameson, and the worst too is when you're out and you've had like a few drinks and you're there with either like a stranger that sees you and knows the band and goes, hey, let me buy you a shot, or like somebody in your crew that's like, yeah, I'll get this next round, and it's like Jameson and it doesn't have like a chaser, and I'm just like, oh my God, how am I gonna stomach this right now, dude?
That's great. Yeah, we had mid 2000s we had like a Jaeger stint, and then it was like 5 years of Jaeger pounding every night, and yeah, I can't even think about it without gagging. And
yeah, totally.
and then we switched. We had this weird awkward time where we switched to Fireball for a couple of years.
Yeah,
and even had the company hitting us up with bottles and stuff. And then we felt like we had to grow up a little bit and be more sophisticated gentlemen. So we started drinking Jameson. And yeah, that's something that still to this day I can take no problem. Just throw it back and just go. Don't miss a beat.
Yeah, but like we're at least more responsible with it.
Yeah,
these days.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely don't partake as much as I used to. And like, we have our stage tech. I also call him out as our whiskey tech. But like so on the breaks in the set, he'll bring shots for everybody. But now they're like a quarter of the size every time. So roughly, 3 or 4 breaks in the set, like we'll drink about the equivalent of 1 full shot the entire set, which is good.
It's like science, dude.
It's science.
What's funny is like I don't drink at all before sets anymore.
Yeah.
Like if I do have a drink, it'll be like 1 drink after the show, just because like number one, I feel like it's for me, like I am a way better performer if I'm up there and I'm like conscious in my body.
Sure.
And I did a lot of tours where I was drinking heavy before shows, and I just feel like it's not fair to me or the fans to go up there and just not be present and not like really be involved in the moment. So like that's something that 100% has stopped for me. And also I've noticed that like as I get older, this thing happens where when you drink like excessively, like you just look swollen.
Yes.
Especially in your face, and it's like you're constantly doing photos and pictures and stuff. And just like also, dude, when you get to a certain age, like you feel it the next day, whether you have like 1 drink or not. So being like as grueling as touring is, especially as you get older, it gets harder too. It's like, it's easier for me to I like to like wake up and go running, and I like to like be awake and present and stuff. And like, especially when you're touring in the summer, it's good to be outside and have the summer heat on you and stuff. So I definitely have chilled out a lot on drinking. It's taken a lot of years to like overcome it, but I'm glad that I have a hold on it now.
Yeah, that's great, man. It's the same for us. Like we've been really dialing it back, and I mean, we used to. Oh my God, yeah, we would like find the venue or bar that we're playing, and go, okay, there's the venue, and like, let's go find the beer store, and we get a bunch of beers, and we start drinking at like 3 o'clock, and by 11 we go on, and we're shit faced. And we used to think like, we're so good. Yeah, that was a sick show. And then I heard a show. Someone recorded one of our shows and sent me the multi-track. I listened to it. I was like, oh my God, is this what we've been doing?
Yeah, that's what you've been doing.
Oh, awful, dude. And the other thing too is like, especially like, probably 5 to 10 years ago, I started realizing like, man, like it's really hard to get through the set. Not just like, being drunk and sort of being loose or whatever. It's like, I feel like I'm pulling like 2 dead horses behind me, like it's like struggling to get up this hill, like the whole set.
Yeah. And it shouldn't feel like that. Like it should be enjoyable, and it should be like, yeah, you want people coming to your shows and going, that was like the best I've ever seen you. And I've noticed that within the last few years, we've been getting a lot of that. We've been getting a lot of like, that's the best I've ever seen you guys. You guys look happy, you look healthy. And it's like, damn, if people are saying that we look happy and healthy, then we must have looked real rough back in the day.
Dude, I know. I look at old pictures and stuff, and it's like, yeah, I look younger, but God, I don't look, like I said, like you said, I look swollen and just tired and shit,
Yeah. It's good to grow up, dude. It's good to
totally.
At least to some degree,
So I realized today, for it's the 26th, and my band started our first tour 17 years ago today.
Wow.
And yeah, so it prompted me to ask. So let's get into the Sleeping with Sirens stuff. When did the band start? When did you guys actually first go on tour? Like when did shit start popping?
So that's a fun history lesson. And I'm almost gonna have to like Google this because I don't know. Let's see. When did Sleeping with Sirens form?
This is incredible. I love this.
2009, it says.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So 2009 is, I guess, when we went to Florida to record our first record. I would say that the band really started to pick up steam and like become who we are now around like 2011 though.
Wow. I mean, that's relatively short. You guys like, because it usually takes 5 to 10 years for a band to really start popping,
Yeah.
you're playing shows and stuff for sure. And you're probably bringing 50, 100, maybe 200 people. But to get to the level that you guys were at in the early to mid 2010s, like, That's an accomplishment. That's huge. We've always been the band, like, we never we're not putting like 500-600 people a night in across the country. It's like we'll do that in certain markets, but like we're roughly like a 200 a night band, something like that. And,
Okay.
And so like to hear that, and to see, I mean, you guys have shitloads of streams on Spotify, and seeing your crowds at the shows at Warped Tour and stuff, like, that's a huge accomplishment. You're talking what, 14 years, and you guys were killing it 7-8 years ago. You know what I mean? So I think that's great to be 4 or 5 years into your career and just like be smashing like that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of factors that like led to it. I think Warped Tour was like a huge conduit. And I think a lot of it was just kind of like right place, right time with kind of where music was at that moment. And yeah, just constantly being on the road, I think too, is like a huge part of it. Like, I mean, my band has been playing shows and going nonstop since the formation, with time off in between, but basically time off in between to make records. Like, we're on 7 records now. So like, it's been a long process, dude. And we're very grateful to still be able to go out and play shows. And our motto is kind of like, as long as there's people that still want to come see our band, like we'll go out and we'll play shows. But yeah, that's kind of where we are with everything. Like, we're about to head out on the road actually in like 2 weeks.
Oh, great. Where you heading?
Oh, we're just doing like some stuff in the US. It's like, honestly, like we put together this tour because we had like 3 or 4 festivals that we were doing, and to just kind of route some stuff around it. But I'm actually really excited because we're going out with my buddy Elliot Maggs, who I'm like a big fan of. So like, honestly, like getting to watch him every single night will be a really cool experience. So
that's great.
It's going to be us, Dayseeker, and Maggs.
That's rad, dude. Was there like, so back in the beginning times, like 2009-ish, 2010, you said you made your first record. So like, was it like, were there a lot of like, did it get dark and tough at times in those first couple years? Of course.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of how it goes, right? Like, there's definitely the band. I think music constantly does this like cycle where there's up moments and there's down moments. And if you can weather the down moments, then the up moments will feel like a lot better and a lot like more substantial like in your life. And I think that what I've learned is through the down moments, it inspires great songs, and it inspires you to like go, well, at least for me, to like go into the studio and to like write about the hard times and stuff. And yeah, our band has had our share of like down moments, but we're grateful to have like come out the other side better and stronger, as people and as like a band. Yeah,
that's great. Every band has their story, and I'd say, yeah, the dark times happen. I mean, I definitely, regret to say that like more than a couple times where I felt like shit wasn't working and not going the way it was supposed to go, and even feeling pressure to change what I was doing as far as like style of music, or like maybe we need to go more in this direction, or, having all those doubts and like comparing ourselves to our peers. And did you ever feel like that? Did you ever feel like at some point like, shit, this isn't working anymore, like maybe we should go this direction, or anything like anything compromising?
Not really like that, just because more so like there's just like there are some songs that like we've recorded and I've been like well, I think the problem is like especially with me as like a vocalist, like I feel like I can sing like a lot of different genres of music, so it becomes like this, does this feel like whatever our band is? But our band like does so many different styles of stuff. Like, there's songs that sound pop punk, there's songs that sound heavy, there's songs that kind of like lean in the middle. And so there's moments where I go, was this the right song to record? But then that could be like somebody's favorite song. And I think that for us, it's never really been a comparison to other bands. I think that we have had influence from other bands, but we are the type of band that prefers to go against the grain and to like, I don't know, it's almost like an elitist thing, not like in a dickhead way, but in like sometimes I look at what other bands do and I go, okay, I definitely don't want to do that. It's more of that kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that it just comes from like my whole band is every single member that's in the band is like, we are really like confident in what we like and we're really confident in what we don't like. And so those things I think attribute to like us being who we are and never like bowing to like what people expect. If someone like expects us to sound or do something, like it's almost like we go in the complete opposite direction as like a spite thing.
Right.
I think that's just kind of how we are. So
yeah. I have this thing like my band is like we're like I call it beach rock. It's like punk rock, reggae, kind of whatever. And so like a lot of pop punk, like melodies and riffs and shit, but then like we'll mix it with some reggae, kind of like the way like Goldfinger did it back in the day, sort of like that. But more like Green Day sounding, I would say. And so that was always my shit. And like, I like all of these things. I like, and you know, we have a couple songs that like, there's this song called Riddle with Bullets. It's like a sleeper hit with all the fans. Like, it's got this like post-hardcore like metal breakdown in the middle. It's like really silly, but it works for the song, and people fucking love it. And so I always feel like I want to do everything. You know, I want to show everything that we do, and sometimes it's hard for me to stay focused as far as like finding like a common thread for an album, for example. Like our new record is very kind of all over the place. It has all of the stuff, like all the things we do, rather than a more focused sound that's like sort of one direction or one sound. Is that something that you've dealt with in the past, or do you just kind of like write a song like it's fucking cool, whatever? Are you concerned with like flow of the record in that way, or what do you think?
I mean, it is nice when you have a record that sounds cohesive, but yeah, it doesn't really ever work like that. I think in this day and age, like especially for us, like we definitely write records in like increments. Like I'm a huge believer in like going in the studio for like a week or 2 weeks and then like leaving for a while and like living with the songs and listening to them. Because the problem with being in the studio, and my biggest concern always, like I've never had like a good experience where you just lock in with like one producer and that's the guy and you sit in there the entire time and you make a whole record front to back. Like I hate that shit. I think like, because your mind, when it's in the studio space and you're listening to the same song like over and over and over and over again, it's almost like your brain tricks you into thinking it's like good. You know, it's like your brain goes, this has to be good. I've heard it so many times. I'm so used to it. But like, there's something good about leaving that space, taking like a break for like a couple weeks, and then going back and listening to it and going, oh, this song isn't as cool as I thought it was. Like maybe this song doesn't need to be on the record, or like maybe this song, I still like this song, but like I can change this. And there's like a beauty to that, rather than just like tracking everything down and it's like in stone and sent off. Like I think that leaving something for a little bit and coming back to it is like the key, for us at least.
Bro, that's a great way to do it. Like the last our last few releases, like albums, singles, EPs, stuff like that, the last few years, we've done it in-house. So like I'm pretty much like engineering and mixing and producing everything that we do. And I sit and listen to these songs like 1,000 times, like on different systems, AirPods, the car, the studio monitors, like headphones, whatever. And I just want to know what it sounds like. And I want to make sure that I'm absolutely happy with what we did. Like there's so many old records where I'm like, why did I sing that like that? Or why did I let that go? Right. Or why didn't I add this one cool guitar lick? You know, you end up thinking of things like a month later or even 6 months later. And there is something really cool about going into the studio and banging out a brand new song with the band and like throwing it down and there it is. And we've done that, and there's some cool shit that's happened. But then like, you know, our bass player, for example, he hates this one song that we did. I think it's cool, but I guess he hates his bass line in it, you know? It's just like he wish he had more time to spend with it. And I would absolutely prefer that more. It's just that excitement gets you. You're like, oh shit, a brand new song and it's fucking cool and whatever. But like you said, it sort of fools you because you're excited about it. It's new, you know?
For sure. And I think that we are always going to be like our worst critics. Like I don't listen to other people's music, not often at least, and sit there and go like, man, I'm not really a big fan of how that bass line sounds. Or man, I'm not like, it's like you listen to the song collectively and you just listen to it as a whole.
Yeah.
And you decide whether or not you like the song or not. You never are like listening to the parts, but of course we are, because that's what we're locked into and that's what we're creating. So of course we're going to like listen to something and judge like how a vocal sounds or like how this harmony sounds or how like this bass line sounds or a drum fill. Like everyone's going to like single out their parts. But when somebody is like listening to your music, they're not objectively like listening to those things. They're listening to like the song as a whole. And it's just like a matter of, do I like this song or do I not? They can't tell you why they don't like it or why they do. They just like it. And it's kind of like a magic thing, you know, like you go in, you create something out of thin air and you give it to someone else and it's theirs. It's not yours anymore. And there's like rarely times where I'll go back and listen to like our songs after it's like sent off to mixing and mastering. Like I'm done with it. It's not my song anymore, you know?
That's great. Yeah. I love that. I've been amazed by like, in the past, like hearing, not just our songs, but like songs I've heard from other bands, or whatever, like where they're like the most popular song or one of the most popular songs. And like the recording is like pretty bad. Like it was done a long time ago, but like the people just don't really seem to care about that. They hear the song, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just always like, I always try to like make my shit sound as big and crisp and clear and, you know, as possible. But yeah, it's like sometimes you got these old recordings that just wasn't done very well, but for whatever reason, the song itself cuts through and people just love it. I was kind of fascinated by that, you know?
For sure. And I mean, mixing and mastering is like a whole different art form. Yeah. And I mean, the problem is though, is that you have to know and imagine that it doesn't matter how dope your mix sounds in headphones or on monitors and stuff. Like kids are just going to listen to that shit through the bottom of their phone. Right?
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, like, yeah, the song just has to be good, dude. Like the words, the lyrics, the melody, the music, everything has to like be cool because yeah, I mean, that's how kids like, I know for instance, there's a producer that I know that I'll keep him nameless, but he's been mixing with AirPods because in his brain, that's where kids are going to be listening to their songs that he creates. Like, I'm sure he listens on speakers too, but like if it's dialed in on the AirPods, he knows that it's going to be great for fans to like listen to the music because that's where they listen to it.
Dude, I don't hate on that at all. I actually do this. I do the same thing. Not in the AirPods, but like, so there's this system called the VSX from Steven Slate. He puts out all this great stuff. Anyway, the headphones, it's basically like modeled speakers in different rooms and stuff. And there's an AirPods setting. So I mix in that mostly because I go, well, shit, this is where everybody's going to listen. So if it sounds good in here, you know, it's going to be great. And then you can switch between different rooms and a boombox and cars and different cool. Like really nice, like NRG and like really nice studios that they modeled. And as long as if you can come up with like a good sound between all those different rooms, you probably have a well-balanced mix. And then sure enough, I'll throw in the AirPods, listen to the first mix. I'm like, damn, this is really close. You know, it's cut down my mixing time. But yeah, mixing in AirPods, there's this whole thing about like, there's this dogma about how to record and how to mix. And it's just like, no, do what sounds the best for you. You know, you don't have to listen to that shit. I always got so hung up on that stuff and sort of doubted myself as a mixing engineer. I started realizing like, shit, this sounds pretty good. It's objectively like, it sounds like I want it to sound. So, and it's not overbearing on certain frequencies, like, you know, weird shit like that. there's definitely a point where it's like, okay, I remember trying to put something out like 10 years ago and I listen back, I'm like, this is terrible. Like the mix is awful. But I've been mixing our stuff the last couple of years and nobody said a word like this sounds bad or they're like, this is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
I always got hung up on all that dogma, with the snobby music engineers or mixing engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. Like
Yeah.
I'm a feels guy, dude. Like
Yeah.
it feels good, I'm into it. So
That's it, man. So I wanted to ask, was there like a moment that you remember or like a point where you're just like, holy shit, like this is working, like there's all these people here. Oh my God, we got so many streams. Or like, was there that moment or just was it more like organic and just sort of happened over time?
there's a couple moments. I remember being in New York and carrying some gear from the van into the venue and some girl screaming, and I thought like something was wrong, but I realized that she was screaming because I was walking by, and that was like the first time I had heard that, so that was strange, but like also kind of exciting. I'm like, wow, like damn, dude, because like we would tour with other bands and they would have like a they would have fans showing up to the venue like well before the show, and I always thought that was like crazy. I'm like, I can't wait for that to happen for us. Like that's really, really cool. Now, as our band's getting older, my thought process is like, dude, there's no fucking reason why you need to be here this early.
You're just in dad mode.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, it's freezing outside. Like, please don't get sick. Like, put a blanket around you at least, or it's like the opposite. It's like way too fucking hot to be sitting out here. Like you're gonna get sunburned. But that for sure. And then I think definitely like Warped Tour. Our first time like playing, I think it was like the Monster stage or something, and just like not knowing what to expect and just looking out of the crowd and being like, holy shit, like there's so many people. Like that was definitely like the first like real giant show that we'd done. And it was a really cool experience.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, you guys would have stupid pack stages every day. It's just like, fuck, dude, these guys are huge. It's crazy. The whole Warped Tour thing was definitely a phenomenon, and it's turned so many people on to so many different bands. I remember like just seeing a bunch of bands I had never heard of before. I'm pretty sure like I hadn't heard of Sleeping with Sirens until we got to Warped Tour, like many other bands, Falling in Reverse and all those other bands.
Yeah.
And that was just so rad to see. I'm like, I can't believe like there's this whole scene of kids and bands that I've never even heard of. I had no idea was happening. And look at this stage right now. It's fucking packed,
Yeah. I mean, I've discovered like all my favorite bands from Warped Tour too. Like I'm as a fan, like that was like one of my favorite things to go to save up money and get tickets to go to Warped Tour with your friends was great. And the cool thing is that there's so many different styles of music at Warped Tour, and it was cool to show up with your buddies and be like, hey, I'm gonna go check this band out, and they'd be like, oh, I'm gonna go check this band out. All right, cool, let's meet back at like the van's tent or something to like make sure that we're not like lost. And then that was cool. Like it was cool to like be able to share the common thread of we enjoy music, but it was also cool to have your friends be like, oh, I really want to see this band and I really want to see this band, and that's cool to like break off and to have that experience.
Yeah, it was definitely an exciting time. I remember like every morning, we'd be out there throwing our posters up and stuff at like 7 a.m. and our set times and stuff, and then the gates open and just a rush of kids like flood in, and they go straight to the big blow up schedule to see what the day is going to look like. And
Yep.
they're all taking pictures with their phones and writing down like who they're going to see, when they're going to see them. Such a really cool thing that Kevin did, man.
Yeah, that is cool. I mean, I don't think it would work now just because everyone has a phone and you can just like tweet out like the schedule. Well, it is cool that it's like different every single day, but
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome to be on a festival where it's exciting, dude. It's like Christmas.
There was this unofficial rumor that like Kevin would, if he saw you like raging at the party, that night, he would put you on first the next day, like 11 or
that's
noon.
true.
That's true.
That's not a rumor. That's real. Because I remember walking by him one day, and thank God I wasn't lit, but I remember seeing like a band that was just like falling over on the ground and just out of their mind. And he looked at me and he kind of gave me this look and he goes, I guess I know who's playing first tomorrow. And I was like, fuck, dude.
Yes. Okay. So I got confirmation. That's great.
Yep.
He did that to us. We played at, it was the Orlando date, and this was 2012. And the Orlando party was always like the big one. It was like the grounds were big and like just a big party. And people from outside the fest were coming in, you know, like friends and stuff of the bands. And we were shit-faced. We were drinking all kinds of beer and whiskey probably. And yeah, the next morning we find out we're playing at noon in St. Pete, and it was like stupid hot. And I've got pictures of that day where we're just sweating it out and we just look like we're having the worst time ever.
Yeah, I mean, luckily they're only 30-minute sets, and then after that you can just like go die in your bus.
Exactly.
But,
yeah.
Could you imagine like doing that and then having to go up and play like a full like hour and 15-minute set, like a headliner set?
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Some of those days were rough, dude. I remember like one year it was like St. Louis, I think, and it was the hottest day in the country in that city. And we played at like fucking noon or something. Ugh, terrible.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely hot days. My thing was like when there was like weather watch, like when there was like lightning or thunder, and like Kevin would put like a hold on the set, and you didn't know if like your set was going to get cut or if it was going to like just get pushed back or if it was going to like, you know what I mean? So trying to prepare for that in the best sense of the word, you know, like, and it sucks too. Like, I know that like a lot of situations like that can like be real frustrating to like fans too, because you're like there to like have your day at Warped Tour and it gets cut down by like weather or whatever.
Yeah.
But those are always like the hardest things to navigate, was just like lightning and thunder and rain and stuff.
Yeah. We had a weird one up in, I think it was I want to say it was like Toronto, maybe one of those years. Like, yeah, flooding, lightning, and just wild. And like everybody went to the amphitheater, and the whole like amphitheater dance floor was like flooded. It was wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. We weren't sure if we were going to play that day or not. So being like, you know, coming up in the Warped Tour scene and all that, doing those shows, are you know, there are a lot of kids for sure. So are you finding that your fans are like growing up with you guys, or are you guys picking up new fans like teenagers and 18-year-olds and stuff like that? Or because I find
it's a bit of both.
Okay.
I think that there are younger fans, but there's fans that have kids that are bringing to shows now, you know, so that's like pretty crazy to see. But yeah, it's nice to have like older fans, and it's nice to have like younger fans that are just getting into it, and it's a cool experience to see the growth.
That's great. Yeah, it was for us, the first time we did it in 2012 was like the best summer ever. It was super brutal, but like we picked up so many fans and sold a bunch of records that year, and it was wild to see. And then we still have people that were like, I saw you guys at Warped Tour, you know, even today, you know, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good look to be on that tour, and definitely thanks to Kevin for having us all those times.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, I'll let you get going here in a minute. Did I see you had a birthday?
I did, on the 24th.
Nice, man. Happy birthday, dude.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, belated. So any places that you want to play that you haven't played yet? Like what's the holy grail for you?
Well, I don't know. Like, I think that we've played a lot of places in the world. We have never been to like South Africa, which I always thought would be cool. We get a lot of people that say you have a lot of fans there. Like Israel is another place that we've never been. It'd be cool to go. And then we did Southeast Asia like one time, so it'd be cool to go back there too. But everywhere else, I feel like we've hit plenty of times. But yeah, like there are just like a couple places that we haven't checked off the map that would be cool to go to.
That's really cool, man. That being able to get outside the U.S. and go explore and play out there. We haven't been able to do that yet. We've done all 50 U.S. states and Canada and Mexico, and that's as far as we've gotten.
Yep.
Well, on Virgin Islands too, but we would love to go to Japan or Europe. It'd just be so fun. Brazil. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Japan's awesome. Europe's awesome. Like there's a lot of, and the thing that's cool about it too is that everyone's different where you go. Like there's different like styles of fans, I guess, you know? So it's cool to like be a part of the culture and to like just see what everyone's about, like to hear the different things that people yell at shows. Like I remember when we go like forever, like we always go to like Scotland, and they always say like, here we fucking go before every show. It's like a thing that happens. So like, it's always cool to like hear that and to just be like, oh, yep, this is where we're at. It's like clockwork. Every single time you go, they yell the same thing. So
man, how cool is music though, right?
So cool, dude. It's the best.
It's like universal, man. It doesn't matter.
It
I
is.
love it. It's just it's like a body language. It's a vibration, you know?
Yes.
And it's so fucking cool. Well, shit, man. Thanks so much for being on the show. I'm sure you got stuff to do. But I appreciate you coming on. And again, thanks for working on with us on the Callisto and the Rockstar Mars stuff. And I hope to work with you again, man. Would love to write some pop punk tunes with you at some point.
Oh, would love it, dude. Yeah, anytime. And thanks again for letting me be a part of your world and work with you too. And thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah, no problem, man. Well, have fun on the tour, bro. Rock the shows, and definitely be following along.
All right, bro. We'll talk soon.
Okay, man. Later.
Peace.